What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. So let's get started. Let's first start with a big trade in the NHL. I don't know about a big trade, but a pretty important trade in the NFL. The Buffalo Sabres send one of the better young players in the sport, J.J. Peterka, to the Utah. I forget their name exactly now. What are they? The Yetis? The freaking Yetis now? Is that their name? Yeah. So he goes to Utah for in return, Buffalo gets back Michael Kesslering and Josh Doan. Petreka, one of the best young players in the game. Last year, 27 goals, 41 assists, 68 points. Year before, had 28 goals and 50 points, going to be only 24 years old next year. He also got the big extension from Utah. It's a 5-year extension worth $38.5 million. That's $7.7 million a year. So big pickup for Utah. Obviously, a young team. Probably have some hope as they've gotten out of Arizona. They were, of course, years in the Coyotes for years. But that whole disastrous franchise moved to Utah last year. They have a team name now. They going the other way to Buffalo is they got defenseman Michael Kesselring, who is a pretty solid defenseman. He is still young. He's only going to be 26 next year. Career of his past year, 7 goals, 22 assists, 29 points this past season for Utah. And then Josh Doan, which is the son of Shane Doan. Shane Doan, of course, is a legendary Arizona Coyotes player. Of course, Utah played in Arizona as the Coyotes for many years before last year. His son is Josh Jones on the team. Last year, 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points in 51 games. Although he's so not a ton of production, but not horrible in 51 games. He's only going to be 23 years old next year. He was a second round pick in 2021 by the then Arizona Coyotes. Of course, like I said, his father is Shane Down, so he goes to the Buffalo Sabres. So they get back two young players. Petreka was about to be a restricted free agent. Only another year left on his deal. There was rumors from a trade deadline that he was going to get moved, and the New York Rangers were looking at him to possibly make a move. Nothing ends up happening, and he goes to Utah. Michael Kesselring and Josh Jones. I think it's a good move for Utah. Made a few moves last year to give you something. You were pretty competitive last year. Didn't make the playoffs or anything, but you were at least competitive. A slight step in the right direction. Now you pick up a really good young player in JJ Petreka, who is coming off a back-to-back season with at least 27 goals and at least 50 points. Career this past year, 27 goals and 68 points. You give him a long-term extension. I think is very, very fair in terms of value. But JJ Petreka goes to Utah. And the NHL Hall of Fame has been announced. The players are going to be going in. Uh, Probably the highlight of it was Daniel Chara, a long-time defenseman, played 24 years in the NHL. Started with the Islanders for his first 4 years, played for the Boston Bruins for a very long time. Was also in Ottawa for 5 or 6 years. Was in Boston for 14 years. Was the captain there for 14 years. Then he played his last 2 years in Washington and finishing off with the New York Islanders. He won the Stanley Cup in 2011 with the Boston Bruins. Was also in the Cup final with them in 2013 and 2019. Won the Norris Trophy in 2009. He has the most games played ever by a defenseman, 1,680. Six-time All-Star. Actually the tallest player in the history of the NHL, which is a kind of a fun fact. 6'9". He had 680 career points in the regular season, 70 career points in the postseason. So he's the NHL's hardest shot challenge of the All-Star break. He was very famous for doing those. A great player. Big Z has now made it to the Hall of Fame. Joe Thornton, another former Bruin, although he's known much more for his days with the Sharks, played for the Bruins for a long time as well. Joe Thornton, another guy, just had incredible longevity. Also played 24 seasons. He started in Boston his first 9 seasons in the league. Then for 16 seasons, played in San Jose. His last year and a half, he was with Toronto and Florida. He won an Olympic gold medal in 2010 with Canada. He won a World Cup of Hockey gold medal with Canada twice in 2004 and in 2016. He was the MVP of the league in 2006. That was when the year that Boston started Boston, but then traded him at the deadline to the Sharks. That year also won the Art Ross for the most points in the league. He's the only player ever to change teams during a season and win the Hart Trophy and the Art Ross for the league MVP and I believe the most points in the league. Was a six-time All-Star. He's six full-time in games played with 1,714, over 1,500 career points, 430 career goals, 134 career playoff points, including 32 goals, 187 playoff games. Great player. Obviously known for that big, fluffy hockey beard. Great player, and he goes into the Hall of Fame. Duncan Keith, a longtime Blackhawks defenseman, got in. He played 17 years in the NHL. 16 of them were with the Chicago Blackhawks. His last season was in Edmonton. When I first saw Duncan Keith, I was like, is he really a Hall of Fame player? Then I thought back, I looked at his resume, I was like, this guy should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. He won 3 Stanley Cups with Chicago in 2010, 2013, and 2015. He won 2 Olympic gold medals with Canada in 2010 and 2014. He won 2 Norrises, 2010 and 2014. Was a full-time All-Star with 1,200 career games, 151 career playoff games, 91 career playoff points, 646 career points in the regular season. A great defenseman for a long time. He goes into the Hall of Fame. And Alexander Moloney also gets into the Hall of Fame. This is an older name that the newer generation doesn't know a whole lot about, but he definitely deserves to get in. Probably shouldn't have even had to wait this long, to be honest. He actually was one of the first players to defect from Russia and the Soviet Union and come to the NHL and play. Played 17 years. His first 7 seasons were in Buffalo, and the next 6 in Vancouver. Spent the year in New Jersey, then 4 in Toronto, and his last year was also in New Jersey with the Devils. He won a cup in 2000 with the Devils towards the back end of his career. He won an Olympic gold medal with the Soviet Union way back in 1988. He won the Lady Byng Trophy for which is the Sportsmanship Award in 2003 of Toronto. 6-time All-Star. One of 30 players in the history of the league to win a Stanley Cup, an Olympic gold medal, and a World Championship gold medal on 990 career games, over 1,000 career points, 39 career goals, and 86 points in first career in the playoffs. Was a great player. One of the, like I said, one of the first guys to come over from the Soviet Union to the NHL, and he also gets into the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to those guys, as they are now a member of the NHL Hall of Fame. Let's talk NBA draft. First round of the NBA draft was last night. Second round was, of course, tonight. They started doing that. I think might have started last year, where the draft is now 2 nights. Kind of dumb considering it's only 2 rounds and 60 picks, but that's what they decided to do. The first round was last night. First overall pick was, of course, Cooper Flagg out of Duke by the Dallas Mavericks. Flagg's obviously still a generational talent. One of the best prospects in recent years. Incredible scorer, can shoot the 3. Great defensive player. He's really good, obviously. He goes 1 to the Dallas Mavericks. 2 Spurs. They do take Dylan Harper. I think Harper's going to be a great player. A really good combo guard. Reminds me a lot of Kate Cunningham in Detroit. No, I think he'll be really good. At third, the Sixers took VJ Edgecombe. There was a lot of speculation. Will they take Ace Bailey? I don't know. He said he didn't want to play there. Then they were going with VJ Edgecombe, the 2 guard out of Baylor. 4th overall, the Hornets go with Con Newpel, the shooting guard out of Duke. I think overall this is a good pick. He's an incredible sharpshooter. Really good offensive player. Can really shoot the ball. And that gives LaMelo Ball and Miller when they're on the court. Some spacing. I like Con Newpel there. For the Jazz, take Ace Bailey. Starting with Ace Bailey, I do believe he was the 3rd best player in this class from a talent perspective, outside of Cooper Flagg and his teammate from Rutgers, Dylan Harper. I did not like how he handled the draft process. He was trying to pick where he goes. He said he didn't even want to go to Utah, and they draft him anyway, which is kind of funny. Those brutal Utah fans are gonna not be happy if he underperformed after just saying that. Just letting you know. But he's a great player. 6'10" power forward. He's got to work on his playmaking a little bit. He's a bit raw. I'm not sure how much defense he'll play. I mean, the kid's really thin for a 6'10" kid, but he's talented for the roof. Incredible deep bag, incredible offensive player. And I think Utah should make a couple of moves in the offseason, but Ace Bailey is a good starting point for a team that's kind of lost. You were in the playoffs every year, but couldn't get over the hump. You trade Rudy Gobert, you trade Donovan Mitchell, you get back all these picks, all these young players, and you haven't sniffed the play-in since for a couple years they were at least competitive. And this past year, you were actually the worst team in the NBA. You had the worst record in the NBA. You won what 17 games, and of course we went with the fifth pick, which is really tough. But also HBO goes to the Jazz. The Wizards take Trey Johnson at 6. Flip the coin between him and Vijay and Kanupa for the best outside shooter in this draft. Probably Trey Johnson by a hair. The Wizards get him. They have nothing over there. They have a bunch of just over the hill guys like CJ McCollum, very good player, but older, always hurt. Marcus Smart's the same thing. Chris Middleton's at the very end of his career, so you have a bunch of vets in Washington. Just the reject central over there. Only young pieces I look like, and I see anything is maybe Alex Sarri took second overall last year, maybe Bilal Coulibaly from our top 10 pick a couple of years ago. Trey Johnson gives him something, gives him an outside shooter. The Wizards won 18 games last year. I think he might make him a 21 win team. They're just clueless over there. But the Washington Wizards, they do get a good player at 6 in Trey Johnson. The Pelicans at 7 take Jeremiah Fears, guard out of Oklahoma. I think this kid is pretty good. Pelicans are obviously kind of going into a bit of a retooling phase. Joe Dumars takes over the front office. Will they move anybody out? We'll see what they do. But Fears is a Pelican. 8th overall, let's take Igor Demon, the guard out of France. To me, this is a bit of a reach. The Nets have the 8th pick. Obviously, you have a lot of draft picks. I thought it would have been cool to see them make a splash, or like Kamama Malak or Derek Queen. And then when in terms of bigs, you have Nick Claxton there, who I like is as a really good rim runner. You have Noah Clowney there, who's a really good defensive player. Davon Sharp, who's also a good defender, is probably coming back in a restricted free agency. However, you draft a kid like Kaman Malak, who has a chance to be an elite rim protector. You have really good lob threat. You have 2 really good bigs in him and Nick Claxton. This allows you to possibly maybe you move Clowney and/or Sharp or something. This makes Nick Claxton expendable and maybe a big trade for maybe whether it's Giannis or Devin Booker or something like that this year or next year or so. Igor Demon, at the guard spot, Cam Thomas, he's probably coming back. We don't know if D'Lo's coming back, so I get there's a little bit of uncertainty there. But assuming Cam Thomas is coming back, you put him with Igor Demon. I don't know. I'm not sure this is quite the pick. The Raptors are at 9. They took Colin Murray Boyles. Again, I think this is a bit of a reach. I think there were simply better players on the board. They could have really used a big man. They have so many guards and forwards with Manuel Quickly and Grady Dick and RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram. Didn't really need another one. They could have used another big. Only big you already have is Jakob Poeltl. So again, Malone and Derek Queen are sitting right there. That was the pick for me. Colin Murray Boyles, who I do think could be a solid player, but not sure if the Raptors were the team that really needed his services. The Suns, obviously the 10th pick they got from the Rockets in the KD trade. They took Kaman Malak overall. This is a good pick. He's a very good player. I just mentioned, I think he'll be an elite rim protector in this league. He's a good finisher, good lob threat. Kind of reminds me of Rudy Gobert. I'm not saying he's going to be Rudy Gobert. Gobert is a 4-time defensive player of the year. But play style wise, he reminds me of Gobert a lot. I think he'll be a really good player. He was playing with Cooper Flagg in Duke. That may have helped a bit. However, for now, he is playing with Devin Booker, who's also an incredible player. Has become underrated because of how much of a joke the Suns franchise is. To me, he's a top 20 player in the league. Probably the best shooting guard in the league besides Anthony Edwards. And they're probably closer than people think. So that's going to help him look out as well. Overall, Portland turned out to get Cedric Cowherd. If Malika Andrews is watching, it's not Colin Cowherd, the sports host on FS1. It is Cedric Cowherd. Called him Colin Cowherd. How she has a full-time job with ESPN is a joke to me. Surprise, Portland moved up. They gave up 16. They gave up the Magic first in 2028. A couple seconds. They didn't move up a lot, much more. But giving up a 28 first. But they got Cedric Cowherd. Portland's going to have to move up a couple of pieces, especially to you brought Drew Holiday, who doesn't want to be there. Bulls at 12 take Noah Essingway. I had a feeling this is probably where he was going to end up. Don't know much about the kid, but Both trying to build some sort of core. You got obviously got Josh Giddey and Kobe White and company there. Give you some sort of core. So the Pelicans move up from 23. They move up to 13 to take Derek Queen. Now, I think Derek Queen's really good. You saw that game winner he hit in the tournament with Maryland. That was an incredible shot. But and I think he's going to be really good. Reminds me a lot of Alfred Şengün, really good two-way big. Pelicans really needed the big. It's a really good fit there. However, they get up an unprotected first next year. The Pelicans have not won a playoff series, and I don't even remember when. You just brought in a new president of basketball operations, a big name in Joe Dumars. The roster over the next year or two is going to look drastically different, I would assume. And you give up an unprotected first a year from now, like I doubt you're making the play-in next year. You know, I mean, you never know if Murray comes back healthy and Zion, if Zion can stay healthy. But you just traded away CJ McCollum and Olynyk for Jordan Poole. Or no, it was McCollum and whoever else they got. Jordan Poole and Kelly Olynyk or whatever it was. I forgot which way Kelly Olynyk went, but doesn't even matter to be honest. You trade CJ McCollum for Jordan Poole. You're clearly going into a retooling phase. Why would you move up, give him the first round pick next year? That doesn't make a lot of sense. However, they do get a very good player in Derek Queen, who I like a lot. Spurs at 14 take Carter Bryant, the forward out of Arizona. I like this pick. I wonder if they're kind of warming up to trade for Giannis. Now you take Dylan Harper with him, Fox, and Stephon Castle. Somebody's probably gonna have to maybe the odd man out. You have all the wings you got with Kelvin Johnson and Vassell and now Carter Bryant. They could easily make it work. We'll see what happens. But Bryant, who I think is a good player, goes to the Spurs. So good job out of Spurs to get potential star guard in Dylan Harper, not worth taking that, and you get another solid player at 14 in Carter Bryant. The Thunder at 15, big Thomas Sorber, 16th overall, Portland, who moves back, and they get Yang Hansen, a big from the Chinese league. So this kid's actually pretty good. He doesn't play a whole lot of defense. He's a bit of a liability on the defensive end, but this is a kid who is a pretty good athlete for a guy who's 7'2", good finisher. He's a really good passer. He's got good moves in the post. Very good rim protector, can block shots. I think this kid, if nothing else, will be a fun player. Bit of a surprise. I was surprised he went 16. I thought he would go much later in the first round. However, I don't think it's that much of a reach. I do think he's a fun player who could be a really solid big man in this league. You have Minnesota at 17, takes Joe Behringer. The Wizards move up to 18 and take Walter Clayton, who I do think is a good player. I get worried every year. There's that one guy who has a great march and then just doesn't do anything in the NBA, and that could be Walter Clayton. But this kid can hoop. I'm telling you, this kid's very, very good. He was all year dominated at Florida. I really think Walter Clayton Jr. is a very good player. The Nets, who had 19, they take Nolan Traore at 20th. The Heat, who have the Golden State pick from the Jimmy Butler trade, they take Kasparich Jagasionis, a guard from Illinois. I like this pick a lot by the Heat. I'm surprised he went this late. I thought he was going to be a lottery pick, potentially in the top 10. They get him at 20. He's a very good combo guard. I like his pick for the Miami Heat. And then you have Washington, who had 21. They take Will Riley. Drake Powell goes for the Nets at 22. But that was a pretty solid pick. The first couple weren't great. But then that's the first team ever to have 5 first-round picks in the first round and select 5 players in the first round of the NBA draft. The Hawks, who move back to 23, take Asa Newell. The Kings take Nick Clifford out of Colorado State, the 24th pick. Orlando takes Jace Richardson at 25. The son of Jason Richardson was a great NBA player for 17 years. They take his son, Jace Richardson, out of Michigan State. The Nets, with the Knicks pick they got from Mikal Bridges at 26, take Ben Suraf. Then they also have 27. They got that from the Rockets. They take Danny Wolf out of Michigan, who I do think is going to be a good player. Solid forward. That's probably my favorite pick out of all of them. The rest of them, to me, honestly, didn't really scream a whole lot of anything. I think they reached on Femin. Saraf's a bit of a project. We'll see what happens. Well, what happens there, and then the other couple are just kind of eh. The Steelers got at 28 take Hugo Gonzalez, Spanish kid. I think there might be something there. Obviously, Wilson's kind of retooling. And the Hornets make a trade with the Suns. They acquired a 29th pick and a first round of 2029 for the Suns for Mark Williams. I don't understand this from the Suns' perspective. You don't have any draft picks, really. You have very few draft picks. Do I have to trade away Kevin Durant? Why Devin Booker or Bob? I think by at least the end of next year will be traded. And you trade away 2 firsts for an injury-prone big man who, although he's a good athlete and a good rebounder, can't stretch the floor, doesn't play a lick of defense, and is always hurt. I don't get it. I get you needed a big man, but also you drafted Kaman Maluk earlier in the draft. Doesn't make any sense to me by the Suns. Complete overpay. The Hornets get 2 firsts for Mark Williams, and I think that's a good return. And they take Liam McNeely, who's one of my favorite players in this round. Look, McNeely's really raw, but I do think with proper development can be a very good player. Forward, got good size, coming out of UConn. I do think he will eventually be a good player. Maybe could have used another year of school, to be honest, but I do think has potential. And the Clippers at 30 take Yannick Conan Niederhauser. That was the first round of the NBA draft. And by the way, trades in the second round. That it was Spurs. They get 38 from Indy for a future second rounder. Also, the Lakers moved up 10 spots in the second round. They get 45 from the Bulls for 55 and cash. Let's talk some wrestling before we finish this thing out. Monday Night Raw. This past Monday, a few days ago. Highlights from that: we had Raquel Rodriguez attacked Rhea Ripley. Roxanne Perez joined in. Remember, a week before, Rhea cost Raquel a chance to win the Queen of the Ring match, and which sets up a live champions match between the two, which we'll get to in a little bit. It's Becky Lynch and Bayley in a Women's Intercontinental title match. Before the match, Lyra backstage just tried to clear the air. Bayley was like, "Yeah, I'm good." She seemed a little agitated when she was getting ready for the match, but they seemed to have squashed the beef. Then Lyra came out to kind of help Bayley, and then Becky kind of attacked her, and then Lyra got pissed off and attacked Becky Lynch, which cost it there. And they had a little argument afterwards, so I think this is clearly leading to a triple threat at Evolution on July 13th between the three, but the Intercontinental title, which I am very excited for. He had Karrion Kross, getting in Sami Zayn's head, saying he'll never be a world champion, and then Sami Zayn smacked him in the face and confirmed that they will have a match at some point. And Gunther came out and cut a promo on Goldberg, which was very, very fiery. And Goldberg also had a pre-taped interview with Michael Cole, saying well, how can you blame me if Gunther did what he did a few months ago? Then Jade Cargill defeated Roxanne Perez, and she will face Asuka at Night of Champions in the Queen of the Ring final. The winner of that will get a world title match at SummerSlam. Then, unfortunately, Styles and Dominic Mysterio was canceled due to an injury to Dominic Mysterio. That is a real injury. Unfortunately, it's a rib injury. For me, it's a shame how many wrestlers are currently injured. And then Braun Breaker defeated Penta with a flying spear. Then Rollins could promote saying, stay on my way. And then backstage, Penta was met by Chad Gable, and then Penta injured his arm, which was to write him off TV. He's also hurt. He's having shoulder surgery. It's a real shame. And then Cody Rhodes versus Jey Uso in the King of the Ring semis. Great match. Cody Rhodes picks up the victory. As expected, he will face Randy Orton in the King of the Ring final at Night of Champions. Speaking of Night of Champions, that's this Saturday. It is going through as planned, despite all the issues going on in the world. Of course, that's in Saudi Arabia this Saturday, starting at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Of course, the main event is John Cena versus CM Punk. So excited for this. Of course, remember Cena's pipe bomb on Punk last week. Very excited for that. We got Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, King of the Ring finals. We got Queen of the Ring final with Asuka and Jade Cargill. The winners of those matches get real title shots, I assume, at SummerSlam. You got the U.S. Championship match, Jacob Fatu against Sol Sikoa. Excited for that. That's had a good build. Pressure for how WrestleMania, but Triple H loves his long builds. We got Rhea Ripley against Raquel Rodriguez in a street fight. And then we have Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross. Yes, Karrion Kross is in a singles match on the PLE. Can't wait. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long and have a great day.